Okay, yeah, well, we're gonna get started. Today we have one of the first webinar of the series of webinars AGCC will host this year. Today's topic is how to successfully parent your high schooler on the way to college. And yeah, we're gonna get started. First of all, ATCC, or the Argentina-Texas Chamber of Commerce, is an independent nonprofit voluntary membership association founded in 2016 with the objective of promoting bilateral investment, trade, and education and networking opportunities between Texas and Argentina by acting as a catalyst for innovative, ethical, and productive business relationships. Today, our two speakers are brothers Luis Alfonso Pavón and Luis Alejandro Pavón. Luis Alfonso Pavón is a PhD student in aeronautics and astronautics at Stanford University with extensive experience in aerospace robotics and control. He has worked at the Aerospace Robotics and Control Lab at Caltech and at the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, where he published 2 papers. Luis also is a founder and chair of the AIAA student branch at Caltech, leading teams that won over $180,000 in the NASA Big Idea Challenge for both 2021 and 2022. Next, we have Luis Alejandro Pavón. He's a computer science and mathematics student at UT Austin. He has developed projects such as LucentNote and MySearch, and also has engineered a plant disease detection model using deep convolutional neural networks as a part of the Carnegie Mellon University AI for All program. He's proficient in many programming languages, including Java, Python, JavaScript, C and C++, SQL, among others. He also has expertise in tools and frameworks like React, Node, Flask, and TensorFlow. So with this in, yes, please, Luis Alejandro, you have the word.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you everyone so much for coming. Today we're proud to present this presentation, and it was originally made for high school students, but we have reshaped it so it's made for parents, so everyone can gather how to get your child into a good college. So we think that parents and guardians play an important role in helping teens get ready for life after high school. To help you today, we'll give you information on how to help your child excel in high school, what do top colleges look for, and our own experiences. Today's presentation is going to cover 7 main sections. First, we're going to start off by covering the high school course selection. Then we will go over grade point average or GPA. Then we will cover extracurricular activities, as well as what to do and what not to do in high school. Then we will go over our experiences, and finally, we will end off with the components of the college application. So first of all, we're going to go over high school course selection. So the general guideline is to encourage your child to take at least 1 math and science class every year. These are essential for building a strong foundation in STEM fields. You should also advise your child to take as many honored classes as possible. This means that the classes should be advanced instead of the regular level. This is important since it can boost their GPA. So before we get into what GPA is, I have to define it. So GPA is a weighted number that's assigned based on how well you do on your courses. So for example, in our school, it would be out of 5. And if you got an A in that class, you could get either a 4 or a 5. This discrepancy between the 4 and the 5 was determined by which type of class you took. So if you took an advanced class or an honors class or an AP class, and you got an A or the highest result, you would get a 5. Whereas if you took an academic course or a regular level course, you would get a 4 if you got an A. So the reason why you want to take as many honor classes as possible is it can help your grade point average. We'll talk more about grade point average later on in the presentation. Also, taking advanced courses shows colleges that you challenge yourself. So it's important for high schoolers to take that in their curriculum, as well as it improves their chances of getting into competitive colleges through that. Then there's also GPA exempt courses. So for example, classes such as band, choir, or electives that you can do for multiple years, they can be GPA exempted, meaning that they would only count for your GPA one time, And then if you take it again, the course throughout your 4 years, because you want to show commitment, then it wouldn't count for your GPA the next time, so you GPA exempted. Again, a lot of these things vary from school to school. So I would read up on the course catalog that your district has to offer. However, these are the general premises that are consistent among most schools. Another thing that your children should do is take summer courses because they can help them catch up or get ahead. For example, I think that most students should take to at least up to calculus in their high school. So by taking summer courses, if you start off without taking algebra 1 in 8th grade, you can catch up and take calculus by the end of your high school career. And it's especially beneficial for students who want to take advanced courses or make up credits. Also, it can help out your GPA, since if you take classes over the summer, that's another chance for you to score well on an advanced course, therefore helping you have a higher number in your GPA. There's also no one-size-fits-all set of classes for high school students. Each student has different strengths and interests, so they should choose courses that align with their goals and aspirations. Also, remind your child to prioritize self-care and balance in their course selection. It's important to challenge themselves academically, but not at the cost of their mental and physical health. So here's an example of the courses that we took throughout high school. And some things that I have to mention is that not every high school offers the same courses, so it will vary from school to school. But one thing that I did want to emphasize is that, for instance, I'm majoring in computer science. So when I was applying to school, I try to orient my classes so it would be based on computer science. So every year of high school, I took a computer science course. And not only did that help me like advance in my major and find my interest, but it also helped me in my application, since it showed that I was committed to that field. But you also want in high school to explore. It's early on in your life, so you want to see what parts you like and you don't like. So it's okay to not know what major you want to do. Another thing that I could recommend, and this is a part, is taking a vocational test, since it can give your child kind of an idea of what they want to major in and you can shape their course schedule around that.
Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the grade point average itself. My brother has already introduced what it is. Here we're going to be talking about different strategies that can help your child get a better GPA. So the first thing, encourage your child to take courses that align with their interests and future goals. This means that they're actually should be more likely to engage with the material because they actually like the classes that they're taking and they think that they're useful for their future. Help them establish a consistent study schedule that includes breaks. Slow and steady always wins the race. So if you like studying, it's better not to like cram it all right before a test. Always study, dedicate an hour, every day to your classes or more. Consider investing in tutorials or tutoring sessions if they struggle with a particular subject or concept. I find that a lot of schools have office hours for the teachers or tutoring sessions like after school that they offer for free, but also private tutoring can help if that's something that is available to you. So teach them the importance of time management and help them prioritize their responsibilities, such as schoolwork and extracurricular activities. Time management is also a very important skill to develop early on, and it'll not only help you in high school for a good GPA, but you're going to need it also in college to keep going. Okay. Work with your child, help them develop a planner or organizational system. That really helps a lot if they don't use something like that already, like some calendar. It can be like online. There's many different tools that I could recommend, or also even just like a regular planner notebook where you just write down the different assignments that you have or tests that you have coming up, and make sure that this helps you really block out your time. And, as long as I do the things as I said out of my planner, then I'm going to have some free time to do other activities like relax or go out with friends or other. But that's, you're going to be able to do both, have like a social life and also like work in your school if you manage your time adequately and you plan it. Encourage your child to communicate with the teachers and always ask for help if they need the help. It's also important to create a quiet and distraction-free study environment at home so that your child can focus on their work. Lastly, help your child develop good study habits. I kind of talked about this a little, but reviewing notes regularly, actively engaging with the material and thinking deeper about, the things that you're learning. Okay.
So next we'll cover extracurricular activities. So extracurricular activities is important to help your child find their passion, since ideally they will be very committed to their extracurriculars. So it should be something that they're truly passionate about. And this could be something that is major related or not major related. It's okay. Ideally, you have a mix of both. And basically what you want to do is encourage your child to participate in extracurricular activities that align with their interests and showcase their talents. There's a good chance that the school already has a club for it. And if not, they can make their own club, which is bonus points for college application. And colleges love unique extracurricular activities and leadership positions. And you want to demonstrate leadership and other desirable qualities through extracurriculars. Basically, what this means is that you want to have demonstrated excellence. When you apply to college, they will ask you a lot about what leadership positions you had in the club, if you want any awards with the club. So at the end of the day, you want to really dedicate a lot of time to the club. And it's better to do few clubs that you're truly dedicated to, where you have results and leadership, than do a lot where you're not very involved. So ideally, your child finds clubs that they can allocate their time to.
Yeah, and just a brief add-on to that, when we say colleges love unique extracurricular activities and leadership positions, it doesn't all have to be like through clubs, and having clubs there is a great opportunity if there's already a club that lines up with what you want to do. But some high schoolers are even able to find themselves like, reaching out to local professors in their area and maybe like doing some research, or other high schoolers do like their own startups or things. So the really, the possibilities are endless on what you could do here, but colleges, like my brother said, they just want to see some sort of like leadership or other desirable qualities through like these unique experiences that you partake.
So what can extracurricular opportunities look like? There's sports, which includes playing on a sports team, intramural team, or a club team outside of your school. There's community service, which could be volunteer work in the community at a national scale, and continuity is important. So if you want to put community service as an extracurricular, you wouldn't want to do it for only 3 hours and say that was an extracurricular. You want to have a lot of commitment within it throughout the years. There's also employment, which could be jobs and internships. Art, which includes visual arts, performing arts, comedy, culinary arts, etc. There's hobbies such as blogging, film club, hiking, biking, rock climbing, and more. And academic activities like math or science clubs or competitions, research or writing. Basically, the most important part is that colleges look for passion, leadership, and impact, and you want to demonstrate that through your extracurricular activities.
Okay, now I will cover some advice of what to do during high school. So kind of like a summary of the things that we've gone over, you could really think of like the different, the four main components of the high school experiences that colleges are going to be looking for, right? So classes, we talked about, take the most stimulating courses available, take AP classes that prepare you for like college level work. And also they can earn your child college level credit. So in fact, my brother can probably speak a little about this. He took a lot of AP classes and was able to skip at least a semester or more of classes at UT just from all his college credit that he earned through AP classes. Standardized tests, we're going to talk also about them. Actually, this is right after this section. Colleges have no preference between the ACT, that's one of them, or the SAT. And I encourage to start studying earlier rather than early, maybe over a summer or a spring break. A lot of schools actually are now test optional. That was not the case when I applied 5 years ago. But it's still better, we still recommend submitting an SAT score. If it's a good score, it really can't hurt, it'll help. We talked also about extracurriculars, being deeply involved in one or two activities. They want to see that passion and commitment. And it's even better if they can get a leadership position that has some impact. Besides that, every summer, there should be something that your child is doing. It can be an internship or a job or maybe a summer school class. We also recommend summer programs at a camp or college. My brother, for example, did AI for All at Carnegie Mellon. I did a few other programs, and we'll talk about what we did in our experiences section. Or it can also be that you continue doing your extracurriculars over the summer. So, like I said, let's talk about standardized testing. I encourage, you to encourage your child to prepare for the standardized test early on. Help them set some realistic goals, like what score do they want to achieve? How much time do they need to get that score? If you have like schools that you're looking at and you're considering, look at what the average scores there. And if you want to be safe, you want to aim to have like the 75th percentile score of the target colleges. And this is not a hard and fast like cutoff. Obviously, like, you know, the whole range of people get admitted there. So if you don't have that score, it's totally fine, but that's a good target to aim for when you're preparing. Provide your child with study materials such as practice tests. There's all these SAT, ACT books that are really helpful. I really do recommend, the main thing is taking a lot of practice tests. That's probably the thing that helped me the most when I took my standardized test, and help them make, again, a study schedule. Encourage your child to take advantage of resources like tutoring, test prep courses, or online resources. There's actually a lot of free online resources like Khan Academy or other tools that they can use that are extremely helpful to prepare for these tests. Let's talk about actually taking the exam. On the day of the exam, make sure they're well rested before the test. Encourage them to manage their time effectively, answer all questions. They should know the test taking strategies, right? Eliminate incorrect answer choices, guess effectively how you should manage your time. And most importantly, help them to stay calm or confident during the test so that anxiety and stress doesn't impact their performance. Just remind them that the test scores are just one aspect of their profile, and colleges actually consider a variety of factors when making admissions decisions. So just being aware of this can help, you know, reduce some of that stress. Here we want to share another great resource for parents. We put a QR code if you want to scan it, or maybe the link over there. And this presentation will be uploaded after so people can find this. This is a great resource from College Board for parents. It tells you what steps to take and when to take them to help your child plan for life after high school based on their grade level. I'll show you kind of what that looks like. You know, it has like a checklist of things that you as a parent can do every year. Like in 9th grade, what things should you be doing? In 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, right? All of that is going to be in this link here. And I think it's nice to have like a timeline, like, oh, you know, these are like things that we could be doing every year. And then you can tune it to, you know, how old your child is. So, okay. And before you apply, research the colleges and the schools, right? So now we're going to move to the section of the talk, like if your child is getting ready to apply for college, or if they're later in their, you know, junior or senior year. Tell your child to select an appropriate number of safeties, matches, and reach schools. So what does that mean? A safety is a school that you are, you know, it's a safety. You're basically guaranteed to get in. It's somewhere that you will have no problem. A match school is something that's like kind of like a perfect fit, or like a school where you're like maybe in the average of their standardized testing scores. And a reach school is a school that has like maybe like you're not in that 75th percent cutoff, or something that it's kind of like a dream, you know, prestigious private school or something like that. So you want to have a bit of everything, right? You want to have 2 or 3 safeties, 2 or 3 matches, 2 or 3 reaches, and then you should be good, right? You'll always, you know, you'll have your safeties in case things don't go well, but hopefully they go well. Tell your child to research the schools that they select, find out what these schools look for in an applicant, and always make sure whether they feel that school is a good fit, right? And fit goes both ways. Not only do you want to make sure that the school is a good fit for you, but you want to make sure you're also a good fit for that school. Okay, now let's talk getting into a dream school or a reach school, right? How do top schools do admissions? Schools want to admit students that eventually change the world or add value to it, okay? So what does it take to change the world? Deep focus, passion, and competence, for example. And how do you predict which of all these 17-year-olds are going to change the world eventually? So the only thing you have to go by is deep prior achievement, right? Prior success is going to be the best predictor of future success for these colleges. So what does this mean for your child's application? They really need to show some deep achievement in an area of their passion, something that sets them apart on a, hopefully, national or international level, but at least like in a school level, something that sets them apart or something that makes them unique. And a lot of people think that they need to be really well-rounded and do everything, but really for college applications, it's a saying that like well-rounded is kind of like, the kiss of death, because well-rounded doesn't help your chances, right? You just become similar to everyone else that's also well-rounded, right? So what you want to do instead is to encourage your child to reorient their time around focusing on what I call like a spike, right? So instead of being well-rounded, you imagine that there's like a spike, like an area that you're really good at. So to develop a big spike, they need to focus and work hard. Encourage them to dream big, right? What's their area of passion? If they had infinite time, what would they try to accomplish in the area? And obviously it's early in your life, you can always change your mind later. But if they can't find like what this area of passion, then this is where my brother's advice comes in also. If they take a vocational test or something, maybe that can help them find that. And then, go from there, right? So advice to do this, to develop your spike, cut out the things that don't matter. I say less but better. So you want to be doing less things, but you want to be doing the fewer things that you do, you want to be doing those a lot better, right? So cut out classes that you don't need, or extracurriculars that don't add value to your applications, or other time wasters, right? So make sure that, for example, a lot of high schoolers just end up having like a laundry list of clubs, and it's like a big list of everything they've done. But that won't really add value if you're just kind of a member of all of these. But if instead you focus on one or two of them and you do like something that's actually impactful and shows your passion, I think colleges will value that a lot more, right? So it's important to, like I said, develop that spike. Okay.
So now we'll cover what not to do in high school. So there's a lot of reasons for college rejection, and these are some of the common ones. One is that the applicant doesn't meet the academic threshold, or that the application is incomplete, missing test scores or required components, and this varies again from school to school, but usually they'll list out the requirements. The school is sometimes just not a good fit for the applicant. So applying to college is kind of like casting for a play, and they look for specific people that meet that kind of role that they want them to play in college. So sometimes the person that applies just does not fit the part. And that's okay. That's why you apply to multiple schools and you just keep going. Another reason for common rejection is that the application has too many errors. And this could be mentioning the wrong college in the essays, which does happen, critical spelling errors. And the best way to avoid these is by helping your child revise their essays when they write them, because you want to make sure that their grammar is okay. And again, they do not mention the wrong college, because that's an immediate rejection. And there's also that the student could have behavioral problems. So ideally, encourage your child to avoid that, and that the demand is greater than the supply. Sometimes so many people apply to a school and just so little of them can get in. So at times it's just, there's so many people that you just end up getting rejected.
Yeah, exactly. So what the point of that last sentence is, a lot of times people take these things very personally, but then when you really put it into context that like there's thousands of people across the country that are applying for like a very limited number of spots, then there's just, the demand is greater than the supply, and you shouldn't take it personally. And just as long as you apply to enough safety matches and reach schools, you're going to be fine.
So these are some advices for parents. So of what not to do. So don't push your child to take on too many extracurricular activities, as they can lead to burnout and reduced quality of work. So again, it's better for them to do like less extracurriculars that they're really passionate about, instead of trying to fit a lot of things into their schedule that they don't have time for. Also, don't overly criticize or pressure your child about grades and academic performance, because it can create unnecessary stress and anxiety. Just encourage them and make sure they're on the right track by following the steps that we gave in the GPA section of the presentation. Don't ignore mental health issues that your child may be experiencing, as it can impact their academic performances and overall well-being. So it's better to not let those mental health issues build up, because later on that could lead to the child just bursting out and really processing it. So it's better to just take it at each step and not let it progress or get worse. Don't solely focus on getting into the most prestigious colleges, as they can lead to tunnel vision and a lack of consideration for other great options. Sometimes it's not necessary to be at the best college for your path. So it's good to consider the different options and each benefit, and again, what you're missing out on, just depending on each college. So there's pros and cons for each option. So don't just have that tunnel vision and focus on the most prestigious one. Also, don't neglect research and apply to financial aid, as they can significantly impact affordability of college, as well as this can also apply to scholarships. So don't neglect them and start applying. Encourage your child to apply. And don't forget to encourage your child to explore their interests and passions, as it can lead to a fulfilling college experience and a successful career. So what we mean is that in high school, you're still young and you're still learning a lot. So it's important to explore around and find out what you're truly passionate about, since eventually you're going to end up dedicating your life to something. So you want to do something that you really enjoy and like will fulfill your time. So now we'll be going over our experiences. So for me, I think the most important parts of my application were my extracurricular activities and summer programs. So earlier we talked about extracurricular activities, and for me in my high school, my passion for computer science started in the 9th grade. One of my teachers in computer science encouraged me to attend the UT Cyber Camp summer program, which I did. And when I came back from that summer program to my high school, I really liked cybersecurity at the time. So I told her that I wanted to found the cybersecurity club at my high school. So I did, and I kept it up for 3 years. And I was the president and founder of that club. I also participated in the Spanish National Honor Society. And there I was the Secretary of Technology. So I didn't do too many extracurricular activities, but what I tried to emphasize was having officer positions and really devoting my time towards them. I was also part of robotics and as well as the computer science club. And for the computer science club, I was a contest writer. And I also co-founded a club of entrepreneurship called Gatsby at my high school, where I was the vice president. I attended a lot of summer programs around, I think it was like one per summer. So my first year, I mentioned that I went to a UT Cyber Camp, and I also did the National Hispanic Institute, which was a debate summer program for Hispanics in Texas. And I also attended MIT Cello Cypher, which was a cryptography camp at MIT. And I did an AI camp at Carnegie Mellon. Regarding my grades, GPA, and rank, I was UT Austin. The way it works is that you gain automatic admission to the College of Liberal Arts if you're in the top 6% of your class. But if you want to get a major that is outside of the College of Liberal Arts, and that could be like engineering or any natural science, you have to have another separate application for that. So since I was top 6% of my class, I was automatically admitted to UT. But for me to get computer science, a lot of these other factors came into play. I also did have some internship and work experience for my application, such as a software engineering experience, as well as web development experience. And I think all these helped me kind of narrate in my essays my passion for computer science. I wanted to pursue that career, and it gave colleges an overall view that I was really interested in that, and that was my passion.
Okay, so now I'll talk a bit about my experience. So back in high school, my extracurriculars were Science Olympiad, robotics. I also did soccer and the Engineering Society. So my experience was actually a little different than my brother's because we had just moved from Argentina to the United States right around 2014. So, you know, like my dad and I, we didn't actually have like the knowledge that's in this presentation that we acquired over these years. So for the first 2 years, actually like 9th grade and 10th grade, I actually didn't really like do much. I just was doing soccer because I liked it, and that was kind of about it. But around like 10th grade, 11th grade, you know, we started realizing with this looming deadline of applications, and then kind of like picked it up from there, right? So it's not too late, but you have to start sometime, right? So yeah, I actually did Science Olympiad, which was great. All these things that I did helped me in my applications. I became like captain of my soccer team or other things. Standardized tests, I think that actually played a big role for me. I don't think it plays as much of a big role today, but back in the day, I was lucky enough to like perfect score my ACT, and that helped. I think that was kind of like a big reason of why, you know, my college applications went well. I did a lot of summer programs. There's MOSTEC, that's like an MIT summer program that you go for like a week, and you know, present, and you get to meet other people from the program. So it was a great experience. Similar with Caltech Up Close, that was more of a fly-in program. Grades and GPA and rank. So again, same thing. When I first moved, I didn't know like I had to kind of like, you know, take honors classes and play the GPA game to have a higher GPA. So I didn't totally optimize my GPA, but it was still high enough that I was like, I don't know, like ranked in the upper 5% of my graduating class. Work and internship experience. So at our district, KDISD, there's this thing called Miller. I'm sure other districts have like similar things, but basically what you have here is a class that's called like PACE. And this class lets high school seniors take a like every 2 days out of the week, you go to a company and you get to do like an internship there, right? So that's kind of like a pretty unique thing. So if your district has those kind of opportunities, I really recommend that you take advantage of it. So I was able to do an internship during high school, even at 2 days out of the week at the Wood Group company, well, formerly Wood Group, now known as Wood. So last, I guess I talked here about college visits and fly-ins. I think those are really great, especially if you're like, at the latter half of your high school experience. Make sure that you visit the colleges, you see that the environment that you're going to be in for the next 4 years, and that it's something that you'll like, right? So this helps you also narrow down after you've made your choices. Okay.
So now we'll cover the college application, so you get an understanding of the process. So these are the important dates. Usually in August 1st, the Common App and Apply Texas applications come out and they open up. So it's really important to start early, as we'll keep mentioning throughout the slides, because it gives you more time to revise your essays and not cram it near the end. What ends up happening though is that one thinks that they're going to start early, but they really don't. So it's really important to emphasize it, because almost everyone wants to start early, but then it's hard to schedule it. So once your child gets into that area, they need to start working on it and not keep procrastinating it until the deadline. Then there's November 1st as well for the early decision and early action. That's usually when they open up. And again, for Common App and Apply Texas, it usually closes around the end of November, even going up to December. But again, I would check each deadline for each college, since a lot of them have different deadlines. So always double check. And then for regular decision, it's usually like around January. Some of them open up there, others close around there. So again, it depends on which schools you're applying to.
So just double check with you, when you say open up, do you mean like the deadline, or do you mean that?
Oh, no. For August 1st, the application's open.
Yeah,
And
the rest are
usually like
deadlines.
around the end of the year. But again, a lot of these have different dates and they vary. So it's important to just check it.
Yeah, and to put it in context, all of this happens in your senior year. So it's about halfway of your senior year.
So usually when you apply with your end of high school, 12th grade GPA. You don't usually go till the end of the semester, but it's just your first semester GPA of your senior year. So that's usually, so a part of the GPA game that my brother was mentioning is that you leave classes that you're required to take, some things like health that are lower credit and give you a lower weighted GPA. You will leave those near the end so they don't affect your college applications. And that could help out your rank when applying to schools.
Yep, and based on these dates, then I think really when you start worrying about college apps and applying, it's kind of the summer before your senior year, right?
Also, a lot of these essays, a lot of the prompts stay the same. So I would look at the past prompts for some of these schools, and you can start at least just gaining the ideas of what the essays are, and you can orient what you're going to do and what you're going to write early on. So general tips is not to leave them till the last minute. So start early, encourage your child to use their own voice, and research the colleges in depth, visiting before writing essays. Remember, thousands of students are also applying, so you need to write creatively and be unique. College admission officers, they always have to read so many different applications and so many different essays, so you really want to stand out and leave them with a thought or leave them impressed with the essay. And again, you should double check your son's essays or your daughter's essays, since again, they could make some grammar mistakes or mention the wrong college, and you want to catch that early on, as well as give them advice on how they can improve their essay and make sure that they're expressing themselves in the way they want to express themselves and showing the qualities they want to express. So these are some of the common components of the college application. There's application forms, application fees, high school transcript, the final transcript, admission test scores, letter of recommendations, essays, auditions, and portfolios, and interviews. So usually there's some like applications where you can apply to multiple schools. using the same information. So there's like the Common App and the Coalition application. And through those, you can fill out most of these things only one time and just write your essays for each different school, and it saves a lot of time. So if your school offers that, I would rather do that than like go to each unique application, since it saves on time and it helps you have a more standard approach to your college applications. So application forms, usually online applications. So again, as I mentioned, the Common App and the Coalition app, they let you submit the same form to multiple colleges, and they might require answers from parents. Application fees are usually around $75, and they're non-refundable, and you can get fee waivers if necessary. And usually you arrange this with your counselor or principal. And one of the most important parts is regarding transcripts is the class is taken and the grades, and the counselor sends it to the school. So you need to ask your counselor to send it in advance. Usually each school has a system of how to send it. So again, I would ask your counselor about that. And grades should be kept up even after getting accepted, because some schools do actually back out on their decision. So for example, if all A students applies to school and then they get in, and then they start failing all of their classes after they already get accepted, the school may back out on their decision and say that they don't want the student anymore. So it's important to keep your grades up and show that your grades weren't only just for the application, but you're just a good student in general.
Yeah, that last thing, it's rare, but it does happen, right? So it's like if you totally drop your performance, then they might rescind, but it's pretty rare. But just don't totally fail out, right?
So there's also letters of recommendations. Usually a science or a math or STEM teacher writes one, and the other one is written by a humanities teacher. They're very important. So make sure you forge relationships with your teachers and give them all the information that they need. This is more for the high schooler itself, but encourage your child to give them examples of what they did in the class and what qualities they want the teacher to show, since this can really help out their college applications. Also, a lot of applications have a chance for you to read the letters of recommendations. Do not read them, keep them private, since it can it can challenge the confidence that you have and the trust you have within the teachers. So it's better to just trust the teacher and let them submit on their own. Also, depending on the major, you may need auditions and portfolios. So some colleges will ask for these to supplement your application. There's more for music, art, or theater programs. And there's also interviews, and not most schools don't have interviews, but some do. So it's always better to do them and to be prepared, since it won't hurt your application. It can really only help. So it's a good chance for you to connect, learn about the school as a student, so your child can get a better understanding of if it's a good fit for them and they like the environment of the school. And it can also help their application overall. So it's just good to do the interview and make sure that they're prepared for the interview as well.
All right, now I'll talk a little bit about the essays. So, do not overlook the essays. These are, what you should tell your child to do. So they should present themselves as genuinely humble, answer every aspect of the essay question, and show how they've changed, grown, or matured throughout their high school experiences. So what they shouldn't do is make excuses or excessively brag or boast. So some bragging is okay, right? You need to tell them what you've done. Just make sure that you don't come off as excessively tooting your own horn or something. So don't write what they think college admissions people want. So a lot of times they try to target specifically, maybe they would want me to say something like that, or it's better to just write, be yourself, be genuine, and your child's gonna write a better essay if they approach it that way. So encourage them to start early and never finish. Like I said, maybe summer before senior year, start on these essays, and it's going to be a lot easier over that summer rather than when you're taking the classes and you're going to be a lot busy. So just start early, get something down, and then iterate on it, keep making improvements, and go on. Ask friends or you as the parent, read and revise their essays, take other suggestions and criticism into consideration, tell them to be genuine and unique. Maybe not to the bizarre level, but some uniqueness is always great. Avoid cliches, triple check for errors, like we said, and really try to have standout first sentences that will catch your, the college admissions people attention. As a last point, apply for scholarships. According to a website, this website, NerdScholar, high school graduates left more than $2.9 billion in free federal grant money unused over the last academic year. And this is an older stat. Fill out your FAFSA and your CSS profile and Google those terms. Also, they're just two application portals that you use for the financial aid. And here we leave also some great websites that you can use or your child can use to find scholarships, right? So they're there, or you can also just Google it and type in any criteria that you fit, like scholarships for Hispanic high school seniors or anything like that. So definitely take advantage of these resources, and it really can save a lot of money. And it's something that both me and my brother took advantage of. So with that, thank you all. Happy to present this material to you all. Happy to also to answer any questions. And if in the future anyone wants to reach out and talk more or ask any questions, I leave both our emails below. The top one is mine, and the bottom one is my brother. So with that, I guess we can open up the floor to any questions. And again, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, guys. We do have a couple of questions. First, we have a question that is, beyond SAT or ACT score, how do you know that a school is within reach to you or for you?
So a lot of this varies depending on the context. So for instance, here in Texas, A&M University and UT have a GPA cutoff which you could be automatically admitted. So for A&M, I think it's if you're in the top 10% of the class, you're automatically admitted to school, and UT is top 6% of the class. And that could be a factor determining the safety. However, it depends, because again, if you want a major such as engineering in A&M, or you want an engineering in UT Austin or a natural science, you're not guaranteed that just by being in the top % of your class. So a lot of factors that you can look at are the overall GPA of your child compared to the GPA of similar admits, kind of the demographic that gets in regarding what their extracurriculars look like. It's usually hard to tell, but as a general rule of thumb, usually public schools tend to be more around the matches, and like prestigious private schools tend to be on the reaches. And then just some more local, like public schools within your state can also be considered a safety. But again, it really depends on the major. So US News, although it has its issues, it could be a great way of determining which schools are reaches, just since they can rank how good that school is for each major. And you can use that to determine more or less if it's something that's really high ranked, it's probably a reach. If it's something that's like normally ranked, it could be a match. And if it's something lower ranked, it could be a safety. But again, it really depends on the student and what their rank, GPA, test scores look like in comparison to the average admit. And from that, you can determine what could be a match, what could be a safety, and what could be a reach.
Yeah, and let me add on one little thing to that. Look at the percent of applicants that college accepts, right? So if that school accepts less than 5% of applicants, less than 10%, it's probably a reach for everyone, right? If that school accepts 50% of applicants, 60% of applicants, that's on the higher side, maybe that's more of a match, right? Or maybe more of a, depending on how high it gets, it could even be a safety. So that's another stat that you can look at for each college. What percent of applicants actually get in, and that tells you a good range of whether this is a safety school, a match school, or a reach school.
But to add on to that, a lot of schools admit my major, so you have to make sure that you're looking at the right major. For instance, just to give an example, computer science at Carnegie Mellon University or here at UT Austin is more competitive than other majors. So it's not, you don't only want to look at the school itself in regards to their application and how many people they admit. You want to also look at the major. And there are some figures for that online. They're just a little harder to find, but that will give you a better idea of how hard it is to get into that program.
Thank you, guys. We have another question. Do you have any particular tips for international applicants?
I know that a major reason why a lot of international students get rejected is because of asking for aids. So usually colleges have a statistic of how much aid they give to international students. And usually what tends to happen is that if they would accept a student if they ask for no aid at all, or if they get a full ride to school. But usually someone in between doesn't get much aid, which is an issue with the current system. But so regarding international students, it's also hard to compare them to like in-house students here, but following the same tips, such as being involved in extracurricular activities, performing well in regards to their grades, and just showing initiative, especially if you're international, since you're kind of representing that country itself, you want to be like you want to be really good regarding like the national level of your country, since it's a lot more competitive for international students to get into school. So it's really a lot of these tips, but you just have to do them, excel within them, and do them like to its finest, which is a lot harder, but that's usually what it takes for international students. I don't know if my brother wants to add on anything to that.
No, I think that covers it. If you really want to go to a top, like prestigious school as an international, then like my brother said, at that point, you really want to be one of the top people in the country that is applying to that school. And you want to put yourself, think about like from the college admissions mindset. For people in the US, they already know the high schools, they already, know the zones, and they can kind of rank, and they know if a student is top of this high school, they're probably pretty good. But if they look at a high school outside of the US, they have no idea if like, maybe they're the top of the high school, but they don't even know if that's something that, how would that compare to our students, here in the US, right? So at that point, you really want to be, I don't know, some maybe specifics, like you want to compete in some Olympiads, right? And there's some like international Olympiads, even placing for like your team in an Olympia, that could already be like, oh, you're golden, right? But obviously it's pretty hard. But you don't have to aim for the top of the top. There's also other schools that there's other sort of pathways to get into that are not as hardcore or cutthroat, and that's also totally fine to get a leg up. And then you can always do grad school later if you want. So grad school is a different beast, but I'm also happy to talk about grad school admissions if people are interested in research. So yeah.
Thank you. We have another question. Sorry, just a new question came up. Do you have any recommendations for students that will enter through the athletic way or like sports scholarships?
You can go, Luis, because
yeah, I mean, neither of us entered that way, right? So we don't have direct experience that is going to be super helpful there. So it's definitely a way. I have friends, I'm sure my brother also has friends that have done it this way. So some of the process, like, at least the people that I know, they got scholarships for this, and they were able to go to other schools, but like almost fully funded just because they're good enough at the sport, right? But I just can't give you any direct insight or tips because it's not something that I've experienced, personally. I just know that it is there. It's an option. You have to be pretty good at your sport, and it can get, some scholarships for you. It can increase your chances of getting into the school. And it's in general a good thing to try if your child is a good athlete. So I don't know if my brother wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, so I know a couple of people that have gone to school through this. Usually what it takes is you want to have, again, demonstrated excellence. So for instance, I have friends who were like the top goal scorer for soccer within our district. They set all their records, they won like the league. And a lot of those things can be taken into account when you apply to school. Again, a lot of these things also vary by sport, since usually colleges have a limited amount of scholarships they can give to athletes. And it depends on which sport you do, how many scholarships you get. Regarding international students, sometimes the process may even be have to taking like videos and sending them to the school. I know my brother had a friend whose brother was doing that. So maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, no, someone from Argentina, one of my friends, they were really good at soccer, and they ended up going to school in the United States just from that. Like my brother said, sending videos, sending like a highlight reel of their performance. And I mean, they were really great at soccer, so it worked out for them. Yeah.
But regarding international applications for sports, you really do have to be at the top. That's on another level. You ideally, because it's really competitive for sports. And again, you want to have demonstrated excellence, and a lot of these same tips apply. And ideally having good grades and all of that, although it may not be the priority for sports, it does help So those are all things that could help.
We have one more question. If you don't get to your desired choice of college, how does transferring universities work?
Okay, so I have friends that have done this actually. For example, like at Caltech, we had a few of my friends that actually came transfer students. So, I mean, okay, like why would you transfer in the first place, right? Like if you got into a school, even if it wasn't like the top school that you wanted to get into, most of the times it's actually going to be totally fine for you. And then you're going to get all the opportunities you wanted from that school anyways. It's not the end of the world. Like if you get to a school, you find like, oh, this place is really not for me. You're not enjoying it. You're not doing well. You think it's the environment. You think it's the school itself. You think you could, do much better. Then maybe start considering the transfer, right? So if you want to transfer, then you have to do something more, or you have to do something different than what you did, in your college applications, because for some reason they, weren't enough last time. And it's going to get more competitive for transfers. So while you're at the school, you need to make sure that you are doing other things that can help set you apart. And now from a different pool, from the pool of transfer applicants, right? So the friend, I'll give the specific example. My friend that transferred from a smaller school, I'm blanking on the name, but he transferred into Caltech. Actually, he transferred from a community college in California into Caltech. And the way he did was he actually did research while he was at the community college. He published some papers with a professor in physics, and he was doing like electrical engineering stuff. And it was impressive enough that he was able to transfer after doing 2 years of community college. So it was great for him. And it also saved him money because he did community college for 2 years. But keep in mind that transfer applications are also very competitive. So you have to do things accordingly. Yeah.
Also, you want to make sure that you don't miss out on schooling, because I know a lot of colleges, it's very tough to transfer credits regarding that major. So if you're doing computer science at community college, at least for UT Austin, you can't transfer those courses you can only get 1 credit. So make sure that if you're research to transferring colleges, make sure that you're not really like losing out on years of your schooling and having to repeat. And also regarding sports, just to also, since someone mentioned about that, if you want to transfer to colleges, there's a thing called junior college or JUCO, and a lot of like sports athletes go there since it can help them get reevaluated for a draft for a school.
Thank you. We have one additional question. Do all states have the same residency requirement as in number of years for in-state tuition? And also, what's the shortest residency requirements in any state? And what is the shortest residency requirements in any state for that? Maybe the second part.
Yeah,
you guys are not sure.
No, yeah, we wouldn't know. Yeah. So yeah, I can't say. I haven't looked for other states, right? Only for Texas. And we had looked enough to the point like, okay, we were good. So this is something that I would say, it's probably better to research on the internet for all states and just Google. I can't say I know the answer to which state has the shortest residency requirement. Yeah.
Cool. We have 4 minutes left, and I would say that one last question that might be really helpful for the application process. In this incoming era of AI and innovative software solutions, what tools can you guys recommend to help students during the application process?
So I'll let my brother take it first because he did his applications way more recently than me. So let's see what you use.
To be fair, that AI wave wasn't really a thing by the time I applied, but just kind of drafting upon, I'm guessing like using ChatGPT to like research colleges and find out easily about like the typical college applicant, or as well as like, no, I wouldn't say like write your essays through that, but like draft maybe ideas could be helpful. However, I mean, a lot of this, you want it to be your own voice and like something that like really comes and shows your personality. So I would like emphasize really, like I would avoid using AI. I would try to just show your own voice and show your own uniqueness, because what ends up happening is like someone recommends AI, is everyone will start using AI, and then you will just become one more like out of everyone. So you want to be unique. You want to show your own person. After all, the college is admitting you, not the AI. But that's just my personal take on it.
Yeah, I'll add my take. Yeah, I've thought of this. I was like, oh, how would college essays change in the era of AI and Chat GPT, GPT-4, all these new tools? I'm not sure, right? It's very early to tell, but I know for a fact, like I feel like a lot of students are going to start using these tools now that they're available, and probably help them write their essays. I'm more of the opinion, like maybe embrace these tools, but my main concern would be that your voice wouldn't come through, or it wouldn't sound like genuine, like as you. So I would say, like, don't rely on these tools to like actually write the essays, or like to do that kind of stuff, but maybe use them like just for creativity or inspiration, or maybe once you have the essay, feed that back and be like, okay, how can I improve another thing? So use the tools. Probably other people are going to be using the tools too, but be really, since other people are going to be using the tools too, be really mindful of that, and make sure that you're still unique and your voice is coming through. And because if everyone uses the same tool, then what if everyone's essays just sound the same, and the college admissions are like, okay, this is the same essay I've read many times because everyone's using this, right? So I'm telling you, like with writing, you can get like very creative with these college essays, right? So I think, if anything, now creativity is going to play an even bigger part, now that this barrier of like writing has been lowered so much thanks to AI. So make sure you're really creative. That's all. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you everyone for joining. We are right on time, so very well planned presentation. And if anyone has any last questions, feel free to reach to the emails provided. And again, thank you for joining.